So when the temperature starts to drop and the leaves start to turn brown, it's time to put the bike away, right? Not a chance. Good morning and welcome to yet another beautifully autumnal ride out in Essex on a Sunday morning. Although I do have to say it isn't quite as cold as it was a couple of weeks ago when we headed out to North Weald Airfield, but it does feel a little chillier because the sun isn't out today. That always makes a big difference. But that aside, we are still out getting the miles in, spinning the legs and enjoying the beautiful Essex scenery, which is partly what I wanted to speak to you guys about today, because now the weather is starting to turn a little bit, you might be tempted to put the bike back in the garage, get on the turbo trainer, or decide on some alternative form of exercise over the winter. And I'm here to tell you that you absolutely shouldn't, because there are some awesome benefits to keeping your bike out through the autumn and even the winter. But we've only just started this ride and my legs are a little bit stiff and a little bit cold. So I'm gonna go and spin them for a little bit, warm up a tad, and then we'll talk about the benefits of riding in the autumn.
Right, so now we're a few Ks into this ride and my legs have warmed up, but more importantly, my jaw has warmed up a little bit. Let's go on with the benefits of autumn riding. And the first one is some nice, cooler temperatures. Now, yeah, in all honesty, this one isn't a huge thing in the UK because we tend not to get massively hot summers over here, although we do have the odd heat wave, and a few times over the summer just gone, we did have some scorchio temperatures. And that is always nice, obviously, but sometimes it can sap your energy, or at least does with me anyway. I can find myself overheating on some of those hot rides, and yeah, it really takes it out of you. So I actually quite prefer these cooler autumnal rides, because it does mean that when you do start to overheat on some of the climbs, you do tend to get a nice cool breeze. And a very topical example of that is just last week, I finally managed to get a sub 25-minute 5k run. I ended up doing it in 24 minutes and 30 seconds or something. And I did that when it was about 13, 14 degrees back last week. I tried to do it a few months ago in the summer and it was 25 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, I suffered a bit. I came close. I think I got 25.5 minutes on there, so I didn't quite break the 25-minute barrier. So I had a feeling that if the temperature was a little bit on my side, I might be able to break that 25 minutes, and lo and behold, I did. So yeah, having those lower temperatures can definitely help with performance. The next benefit is something that I mentioned earlier, and it's just how beautiful the sea is. For instance, look at this line of trees coming up here. Those beautiful brown and orange shades. I mean, I'm going to end up sounding like Jimmy in one of his old Jimmy moment sections. But while it is very nice in this very field to see the waving wheat in the summer, to see these absolutely beautiful autumnal colours when you're riding out, it is very, very motivational. And certainly I do look forward to these rides because of the different scenery that you get. I've said it before and I'll no doubt say it again, Essex has got some of the best views in the world. It might be flat, you might not got very many fun, lumpy hills to climb, but by God have we got some beautiful countryside. The next benefit is just how much quieter the roads and the trails are. With summer over, kids back to school, most people back at work, and probably wanting to have lazy, cozy mornings in on these colder mornings, you find less cars on the road and less people on the trails. I could probably count on one hand just how many cars have actually needed to overtake us this morning. So it's definitely true to say that there are fewer cars out on the road, which can only be a good thing for safety and just pure enjoyment of the ride. And talking of cooler temperatures such as I was earlier, that does also mean that the mid-ride cafe stop for a nice warming breakfast or hot drink becomes even more welcome. And on that front, I think it's time for a stop. Let's go and grab a bite to eat and a cup of tea.
Right, well that was a beautiful mid-ride cafe stop with a lovely warming cup of tea. And as ever, as soon as we turn out of the mixing shed, it's straight onto the Arxton Hill climb. Let's get to the top of this, and then I'll give you a few more benefits of riding in the autumn. Well, the pain of that climb is always tempered by the pleasure of that view. Right, now for the well-deserved downhill.
The next one is a huge benefit if you like having cafe sprints in the summer with your mates, because riding in autumn can be a great way to build your base fitness and endurance. To paraphrase the saying a little bit, autumn miles make summer smiles. Getting out in the autumn and winter to do your miles then can help massively in conditioning you, both mentally and physically, and also helping to beat your mates to the cafe next summer. And talking of the views earlier, it leads me on to my next benefit, which is with the mornings getting later and the evenings getting earlier, it does mean that you're set for some beautiful sunrise and sunset rides. I made a video back last year about the beauty of getting out pre-sunrise, riding in the dark, just being completely alone with your thoughts, with the only noise being the sound of your tyres on the tarmac, unless your bike is mine and still massively squeaking from the bottom bracket area. I've got to get that sorted. But as I named that video, those rides can be the best rides in the world. Getting out early, getting the miles in, watching that sunrise over the horizon, or if you're more of an evening person, getting out after work, watching the sun go down, returning in the darkness. Nothing can beat that. If you've never done a sunrise or sunset ride, oh man, I can highly recommend it. Talking of physically conditioning yourself, another one of the great things of getting out in the autumn is that it is scientifically proven that getting out regularly cold weather exercise is great for boosting your immune system. So not only are you getting the miles in the legs and doing a bit of extra training, but you're also reducing the chances of you getting any coughs, colds or other illnesses through the winter. Now that's the physical benefit side of it, but what about the mental benefits? Well, as I discussed in a video a couple of weeks ago, it is now also scientifically proven that cycling, specifically cycling, can reduce your Alzheimer's and dementia risk by around 20%. So obviously, the more you're out cycling, the more chance you have of benefiting from that reduction. So you're getting a physical boost, an immune system boost, and a brain boost as well, which will not only help you for right now and next summer, but long into your 50s, 60s, 70s, and according to some of the comments I get on my videos, your 80s as well, which I absolutely love. If I'm only half as fit in my 70s and 80s as some of you guys that comment on my videos, well then I'll be a very happy man. And talking of keeping up cycling as you get older, I should just point out that it was Jimmy and Cliff's joint 50th birthday party yesterday. Yes, they've reached the big Hawaii 5-0 milestone. And both Jimmy and Cliff were out this morning, getting the miles in the legs, doing some training, absolutely loving life. And Jimmy himself, even after his birthday party on Saturday evening, which ended at about 1 AM, was out at 8 AM the next morning doing an 8-mile run. Only Jimmy. I'm sure you'll join me in wishing them both a huge happy 50th birthday then. Moving on to my penultimate benefit of riding your bike in the autumn though, and it's the fact that there's less pressure on performance. With the heat of the summer gone and the pressure of maybe trying to keep up with the training plan, keep yourself fit and healthy, the autumn and winter can be seen as much more relaxing, riding along a conversational party pace and just enjoying the rides more. Yeah, sure, you can do training sessions over the autumn, but certainly for me, these autumn rides are much more about enjoyment and just being out with your mates. I was just saying back there a little way while we stopped, we remember these rides, the cold, wet and windy ones, much more than we do the hot and steamy ones in the summer. These ones are definitely the much more fun and adventurous ones. Getting out in these inclement conditions, although today hasn't been too bad, but when you can get out when it is massive headwinds, hailing down with rain and freezing cold, yeah, they're the ones you remember. Right, so I've got one benefit left, and I think personally that it is the most important one, but I'm nearly at home, so let's enjoy the last few kilometres of this ride, and in my usual Jerry Springer style closer, I'll tell you about it when I get back.
Okay, another 43 kilometers done, so what, 25, 26 miles in beautiful, I feel like I've used the word autumnal too many times, but they were beautiful autumnal conditions. Getting some more training in, spinning the legs, and just generally getting out with the chaps, having a good time, which, let's be honest, is what cycling should be all about. But just going back to the final reason of why I think riding in the autumn is such a benefit, and it's because it provides a much needed mental reset. As mentioned earlier, riding out in the summer can a lot of the time be a lot of performance, a lot of pressure, pushing power through the pedals, getting where you want to go as fast as possible. But in the winter, going out in different seasons, different temperatures, different scenery can be a massive mental reset. It can provide much needed motivation, inspiration, and just make the ride much more enjoyable. I've mentioned in videos before that the mental element of cycling is absolutely massive, and colder rides often tend to feel, for me at least, like much more of an adventure. And if you can change your mental framing of a ride, then as I say, it can provide a huge motivation and inspiration for future rides, and it can just help you get up on those cold, dark, wintry mornings, push yourself out of bed to get yourself on the bike. So there you go, there are my benefits for riding in the autumn. But what about you guys? Let me know what pushes you out on the bike when it gets colder, darker, and a lot wetter on the road. Luckily, we didn't have any rain today, although there was some forecast. We managed to get away with it. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you do to push yourself out, or if you much prefer to just sit on the turbo trainer on Zwift, Ruby, or my bush. As ever, always great to hear your comments, so leave your comments below. But otherwise, I'll say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Ride safe.